Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the second episode of the SO podcast, a Scotty officiating podcast where a first-year official shares his experiences with you every step of the way. Today we got ourselves a new episode in regards to a regional meeting. This is a kind of a mandatory thing for, I believe it's every couple years, a official goes to this, as well as first-year officials. When I first found out that I was required to go to this meeting, it was, found out that the closest meeting for me was like an hour and 15, hour and 20 away. And when I kind of found that out, I kind of was like, dang, like I have to drive really far for this. There's nothing like within the city that I currently reside in. Just stunk, like, that I have to drive all this way. But it was also a $50 registration fee to go to this. And when I found that out, I was like, dang, another $50 more money to go to this meeting. And come to find out, the association actually paid for me, which I was very blessed that they did that. So thank you to my association for paying for my registration fee. That was very nice of them to really see that, they really care about first year officials, and that it's not just, oh, you have to pay all this money to do this. They really try to find ways to cover whether it's new officials or, people, veterans and whatnot. It's very interesting to see that. So that was really cool. I'm driving. It was actually on the way there was a lot of towns that were pretty much these small, very rural towns, and it kind of brought a shock to me. I've only lived in Georgia for 2 years, and to see how much, like, I don't want to say the bad side of Georgia, but like the side, the outskirt towns and the small towns, and seeing how, at one point it used to be popular, then you go through downtown of that city and there's just no shops and no atmosphere or anything. So it was really sad to see kind of that stuff. Things were a lot pricier out there too, from gas and other things. So it was difficult to see those things where I look at myself and, blessed to have a day job where I get paid, decently, and there's a lot of resources in that particular city. So we head to the clinic, and when I walked in, I gave them my name, and, they're like, okay, his registration was waived, was already taken care of. Sat by an official. I can't remember names. I never really got his name either. It was very nice, very positive. I let him know that this is my first year and, never officiated before. And he, was very nice enough to help me answer questions as they were going through the presentation. Meeting starts, and the gentleman goes up there and he introduces himself, and we go over the points of emphasis from the National Federation of High School. We talk about being close and secure, accessories and hair ties and stuff like that, being close and secure. We talked about the hand checking, because the hand checking has been out for almost a decade now, because it came out within 2014 to 2016, and seeing how back then, when I was watching the game, how bad that they were calling it, because they were just any sort of contact was defined as a touch foul, was sort of a hand check foul. And to see it kind of, being reemphasized every year, it's the game is changing. To see those things kind of come to fruition, to be better for the game, and to see that there's more clarification for the game is really, really good. One thing that they're adding this year is the shot clock in Georgia High School Association. It's becoming mandatory across all levels. I think this is a big win for Georgia High School Associations, because of the fact that there would be state championship games where the score at halftime is like 11-9. Not necessarily Georgia High School, but I've witnessed, videos online where they're just holding onto the ball. The team's playing like a 2-3 zone, and they're just waiting for it. There's no pressure to shoot. There's no pressure to try to score. It's just they're holding onto the ball after they get a lead. And to me, I think, you're seeing teams try to, win in that particular way isn't the greatest. As an official, it's kind of tough to witness it. You just kind of have to let the game go. You let the game play. You're not there to change the game. You're there to make sure that the game is played correctly. And if the rules are in place to where that type of play is, okay, then it is. But now with the shot clock, people aren't really holding on to the ball. You got 35 seconds to shoot. And, if you shoot it and you get your own rebound, and the offensive team gets the rebound, it resets to 25, with the exception of being at 25 to 35. So that was very interesting to see the shot clock being introduced. I'm, very intrigued to see how that's going to go. One thing they emphasized in that was people are going to make mistakes. This is going to be the first year we're doing this. People are going to make mistakes. You're going to do the best you can the very first year because not everyone's an expert. We were given a certification that I took. I can do shot clock technically. I believe it's a half game rate of an official. If we decide to do it as if they hire someone through the association, if they hire somebody on their own, then that's just up to them. To have somebody on site who's certified in shot clock and making sure that they have the certification with them so that if we ask for it, then they can provide it. One of the big things we did, they showed us the correct gear for Georgia High School. They changed the uniform. It used to be like a striped with the emblem. Now it's this kind of cleaner look, which I'm all for. I think it looks a lot more nicer. I think the black and white stripe is kind of, it's going to start to fade out eventually. I think they're going to go away from it. You see the NCAA going away from it. The NBA is doing something different. They're trying to, make it more sleek and more, I guess, I don't want to say cooler, but they kind of want to try and make it more modern. And some of it, yeah, I do agree. I think the black and white stripes should only be in, the lower levels because they're more generic and, there's a variety of games that you may need it for. And when you travel, let's say you go to a show, kind of, those tournaments, 3-4 day tournaments where officials are being reviewed and kind of critiqued. I think the black and whites are okay in those settings. I just don't think that they should be at the high school level. I think they should be at a more modern, clean look, which it seems like what Georgia High School Association is doing. So that was really cool witness. There was gear there. I didn't buy any gear because at the time I was still trying to figure out the bare minimum. I didn't want to buy all this fancy stuff if I didn't like officiating. I think down the line I will buy some of the gear as like I have a jacket, I have each of the shirts, and I have one pair of pants. I'm probably going to buy upwards of 2 to 3 pants, and then I'll probably buy, depends on how much games I do, because eventually I think I'll probably do one shirt every year and then one pair of pants every year. So probably do rec ball first and then the private high school ones and then the public high school. Because I think I'm probably going to do more private high school than public high school. I don't know. I might be doing more public. It depends on the scheduling and the times. It's going to be tough for me to do JV. That's one thing I've learned is the scheduling for JV is a lot earlier. And like it's literally like the start time's at 4 and I'm like, crap. Like I have to leave work at like 3. Like that's 2 hours. Like talking to my boss to get time off to do officiating was a lengthy process. And I know I'm kind of going off topic here, but that's okay. Processed for me to get approved to work during work my day job hours was kind of a pain. I filled out a form that basically it was kind of catered towards consulting rather than a second job. The university that I work for just doesn't pay people well, so I think the document was kind of outdated. And so I filled it out, and me and my boss talked about it. I was like, hey, like for 2 to 8 hours a month, I'm probably going to be doing this, during the work hours, during the times that I'm, the week. Let's say I'm out off on a Thursday, to go ref, officiate. I'm gonna work an hour or two later throughout the week, make sure that I hit 40 hours a week. Probably gonna do some organizing, some cleaning. Probably gonna work on stuff that I normally can't get to. I've already set my block out days. I don't know where the schedule actually even is gonna be, so I gotta email somebody in regards to that, figuring out where the email or the schedule, how the schedule gets distributed to everyone. I would think it's through National Federation of High School, but like I feel like that also isn't the case either. I feel like it's kind of a list of some sort, but there's also a lot of games, so I gotta figure that out. If anyone knows, please let me know through social media, Twitter, mainly Instagram or TikTok. Please let me know. One of the last things I wanted to cover was controversial calls. So towards the end of the presentation, we kind of went over like 2 or 3 games, mainly 2 video. One was kind of more of a verbal conversation. 2 calls that they really want to emphasize and double check on. The first one that really stood out to me, I can't remember the second one, but I remember the third one. The first one was a state championship a few years ago. Essentially, there was a free throw with like 2 to 3 seconds left. Or, no, not even that. I can't remember how much time. But there was a reasonable amount of time to get up the court. Correction. I think it was like 3 seconds. So they missed the second shot. Defensive team gets the rebound. As he was going to make an outlet pass, there was a timeout. And the official that, stopped the clock and made the called the direction of time, or called the, not the infraction, but called the timeout, made the signal, and he pointed to the correct spot, which was at the baseline, because he still had it in his hand prior to the timeout called. A veteran official who, from my understanding, was one of the best, like really up there as one of the best in the state, veteran for 10 to 15 years, understood the game in and out. He overrides that person, says no, it should be on the sideline, basically up about 25, 30 feet from where the original spot was. In a game like that, I sat there and go, it's an easy call. It's easy to call baseline because he was on the block. Like, the timeout was called on the block. And, the veteran official felt that it should have went to the sideline, and he overruled the call. And this caused a lot of spark with the coach, and I don't know if he got thrown out because there was no technicals, or we didn't see the technical shots. I want to say there was technicals, and then he got thrown out of the game. And somehow the team got the ball at half court. I don't think there was technicals. Somehow he was removed from the game. I can't remember the exact detail of it. So you see, the ball is, now the ball is placed at half court. And the first thing I notice is the defense is not pressing. They're playing normal defense. And I'm sitting there blatantly confused it was like a 2-point game, 2 seconds on the clock, and you're not pressing. At that point, you need to press. You want to make sure that this guy doesn't get a good shot. And essentially what happens is the ball gets put in play, and this dude had time. He had a couple dribbles and a jump shot from half court. In my opinion, most teams practice those scenarios. They practice a half court shot, a play for that, and then they also practice hey, we need to run down the floor in 4 seconds. We need to practice a play for that. When I was in rec ball, we had a play called Nova, and it was the infamous Nova inbound from where they went full court. They passed the ball at the free throw line to a bigger gentleman, to a forward or center. Then he would pass it back to the guy that took the inbounds, and he would run down the court. There'd be an option for 3. There'd be an option to drive. There'd be an option to dish in the paint. That was our play. Our play was we practice that at the end of every practice. Teams especially at the high school level, are probably practicing that exact play at the end of practice every day. So the inbound comes in, he shoots the half court shot, and he makes it. Game over. And you sit there and you go, if that ball was at the other end of the floor, what would have happened, right? Could he have he could have still made it for all we know. He could have missed it and lost the game. A lot could have happened in those, the what ifs. And it was very unfortunate to see, a call like that affects the outcome of the game. It's one thing to, happen. It's going to happen. It's unfortunate. We do our best to correct the calls, we as officials, to make the best call in the moment. Unfortunately, the official passed away or died in a car accident literally a week later after that. And when I heard that part of the story, my heart kind of dropped, because you never, regardless, even if you're a fan or anything, a player, coach, other official, you don't want somebody to die, let alone a week after, a moment like that. Like, that's their last game. They ended on that call. He died he unfortunately died with his wife and child in the car. It was just heartbreaking, because I kept hearing past tenses as he was talking. And I'm sitting there thinking, did this guy get fired for messing up this call? And then when I heard the ending, my heart just sank, because I'm thinking he just got fired for messing up the call. And come to find out, no, that wasn't the case. So, rest in peace to that official. From what I heard, he was an amazing official for his entire career, day in and day out. And, respects to him and his family. That's going to be it for the first episode of the podcast. I don't know if I want to go longer or shorter when it comes to these podcast episodes. I mean, I am doing it by myself, so I feel like 15 to 20 minutes if I do it twice a week to start out. Once or twice a week is okay, because again, these are going to be kind of doing it by myself. These are short. My goal, I think, would be probably 30 to 45 minutes tops whenever I get more comfortable doing this. Again, if you haven't followed me on social media, there is my TikTok, my Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Scotty Officiates. I will be uploading game breakdowns on YouTube. We'll be live streaming those. And then I'll do some short form on TikTok and Instagram. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. My next episode is going to be talking about my interest meeting and along with my first clinic as an official, learning how to officiate. There we go. Finally said it right. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys drop a thumbs up on the video. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening to this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you drop a heart and keep following and subscribing on all of my platforms to stay up to date on these. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.